Hey, this is Danny Flexen for Seconds Out and Sportsbet TV, here with darts legend, might as well upset a few people on Twitter, Chris Mason, and Alex Reid. Not sure how best to describe you. Why don't you give it a crack?
Well, it's funny, just before we started, you asked me how you're going to describe me, and I really don't know. I'm here because I am a big martial arts pundit, and we obviously we're talking about boxing, but for me, anything to do with combat sports, it's the most entertaining thing since the dawn of civilization. Man wants to see another man fight, and it's like Russell Crowe said in Gladiator, are you not entertained? We're all talking about it.
Yeah, you can't not be entertained. Yeah. It's one of those things that gladiatorial battle to see you the best man, last man standing, and like I say, combat sports.
And I consider myself first and foremost an entertainer, and I now do a lot of this, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, because this hurts. And you know, I see these young studs in there, sometimes young ladies, and it is still the most, look, what you guys do now, you're talking about who's got the best punch, who's got the best training, who's style. It's fascinating, and I love everything to do with that.
You've obviously had a vast number of MMA fights and also kickboxing contests in the past. Did you ever consider going into traditional boxing? Yeah,
I did. I've had probably about 250 kickboxing fights and about 50 MMA fights. I had one boxing match. In fact, my first martial art I was into Kung Fu from Bruce Lee films, and I thought, this isn't real stuff. I'm going to go and be a boxer. I went to 10 shows. I got one match. Yeah, I don't know what you know. Have you boxed?
Yeah.
Have you boxed?
I haven't. I've trained though, so I know.
You've been in a fight?
What, as in the street fight?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's nervy. Imagine the difference between a street fight and a boxing match is you've got a predetermined time. Oh, you're going to fight so and so at this date. That is adrenaline. You're continually going through. Oh God, why am I doing it? Every fighter goes through that. Right before you get out there, why am I doing it? So I went through that 10 times and didn't get a match, and that adrenaline dump is horrible. But then I thought, okay, I'm going to try some kickboxing. I could get 3 or 4 fights in a weekend. Yeah. On these tournaments, and it's the biggest drug. It's the biggest high, the lowest low.
What about you, Chris? Because you had some amateur fights, obviously. Did you ever consider other martial arts?
No, I did. Well, a few of my friends were into mixed martial arts. A few of them were. Well, actually, my cousin was a second or third dan at one of the versions of karate. And
technical terms here, folks.
Yeah, and I did get asked to, you know, have a tryout. Well, I'd not asked. I sort of was inquiring, and I thought, well, I'll give it a go. But there's no worse feeling than being choked out and not being able to do anything about it. It's horrid. It is. Boxing's scary enough. But I had a couple of bare knuckle fights. That's scary. But
really,
but to not have any control, you cannot get out. It's like if you suffer from claustrophobia. I mean, it must be weird, but I found it scary because you literally. You can't do anything. Let
me flip that on its head, right? Because to the wrestler, the grappler, is someone who's going to grapple and twist you and bend. For them, getting punched is equally scary. Yeah. So it's basically, you're just a fish out of water. Yeah. Everybody's got their strengths and weaknesses. I might be a really good karate guy and I could kick the hell out of you. But if you get close and you punch me, I'm out. Yeah. So it's whoever's got the...
Yeah. Whoever imposes their style.
The thing is, you have to be good at it all. In MMA, you have to be efficient, if not good. You have to have a certain flair, and there's so many dimensions to it. Like I said, there's different types of grappling. You got people that got different types of floor game, and then some are kickers, some are boxers, some are choke out specialists, and that's all different variations of mixed martial arts, isn't it? Or different.
Well, initially, I mean, about 20, 30 years ago, the UFC was created. I mean, although it's been going in every civilization around the world, its own form of free fighting, but they thought let's get karate versus boxing versus sumo versus so and so, and all these guys, and they found throughout about 3 or 4 years, 4 dominant martial arts sports came through, and everybody started training these 4 sports, which was boxing, kickboxing, wrestling, and jiu-jitsu. And now, I mean, I was a kickboxer and boxer who learned how to stand up, how to basically there was a blueprint on how to beat Alex Reid. Get him on the ground and strangle him. Didn't like it. So I had to learn how to wrestle, how to do jiu-jitsu, how to get back up, because this is where I was dangerous. So now the fighters today, they come in, they're world-class wrestlers, jiu-jitsu, they do the whole lot at the same time.
Well, now the difference between now and the onset of MMA is that you have people training from a young age for MMA specifically, rather than other sports.
I used to watch a thing years ago. It was on TV, and it was in actually a square ring, not a cage. But they were allowed to use different, they were allowed to kick and punch and.
Oh, I know that. Was it Japanese?
Yeah, it's Japanese.
Shoot.
Yes.
I know the one.
Yeah, and that was incredible to watch, because before you'd only ever seen, you'd see karate in films. You didn't know if it was, how effective it would be in a
real fight.
Effectively, because they're 4-ounce gloves. They might as well just have.
Do you know what? It's really interesting listening to you guys talk, because you're clearly, and I don't mean to be disrespectful to you, complete amateurs and novices when it comes to mixed martial arts. Because I talk to lots of, when I was listening to you talk about boxing earlier, and I said, guys, you practice what you're going to say before you say it. You're just throwing it off the cuff. Your knowledge of boxing is second to none. But it's today what I see, there's a paradigm shift in society. I generally believe, but then I'm the MMA guy, I believe MMA has taken over boxing worldwide. In terms of kids today, they know more about MMA than they know about boxing.
Yeah, they do.
So it's not like I'm saying you're the old guard and I'm the new guard, but there is a.
I train in MMA gear. Right,
there you go.
We'd like to see that, Chris.
Yeah, no, it's on YouTube. It's all out there. But yeah, I'm fascinated by it, because it was, like I said, there was sort of bits of it around back in the day when I was sort of massively following boxing and having a few fights myself. But now the UFC is just opened everybody's eyes to it, and I think because we've got more connection with the fighters themselves. You can watch this documentary where they go into their camps and then so you get to know these guys. They seem more accessible.
I think the biggest thing that's helped the rise of MMA, especially compared to boxing, is that it's got a uniform brand in UFC, whereas boxing is so disparate with so many different promoters and power bases. They don't make decisions together, whereas UFC, the marketing and the production, everything is cohesive. So it's been able to grow in so many different markets. I think that's
there is a big battle, because there's lots of smaller, so Bellator for a while, many years ago, the three major associations, and I fought for one, was Cage Rage, which is a UK brand, and we actually had all of the current UFC champions, Pride, which is Japanese, and then UFC, and then there was a big war, politics a bit like boxing, but now you're right, the two main associations are Bellator and UFC. Everyone knows what people say, I'll do that UFC stuff.
There was Strike Force as well, wasn't there?
Strike Force has been brought up by UFC, yeah. So it's interesting though. Going back to boxing, I had a little sparring match with James DeGale once. It came down a little, but I was number 8 in the ring.
Right.
Purely boxing.
Yeah.
And this is that. And we were talking about how you just said something about the difference in technique.
Yeah.
Now, I'm not going to outbox James DeGale. I was number 8 of like 8. We all came down. He did a round of each of us. So I dirty boxed him.
So at least he was a bit tired.
I just grabbed him. And what you do, you're grabbing and you're like holding. Yeah, but, I mean, I wasn't doing MMA, but I mean, I'm not going to stand there.
You got an arm bar.
Yeah, we'll just hold on to the arms and tie the arms out. And you see,
was that before that fight where he got injured?
It's crazy. I mean, what I'm saying is you've got lots of different tactics, different games.
Yeah.
And what I've seen is, we've got boxers in our gym, and they sometimes ask for, how can I get away with something which is legal, but there's crossovers. I mean, we all know the biggest crossover recently, the old Irishman.
Yeah.
With his Mayweather. I mean, it's interesting. He did a bit better than I expected. I don't know if that was a bit dodgy, if you know what I mean.
Well, from what I heard, it was he held him up, and all the money was on the round 10, which no one expected. It was the longest odds, I think, of anything for the fight to go was round 10. But yeah, because he's not. I think it's very difficult. Well, it's equally as difficult. I mean, Floyd would get absolutely rinsed in a cage.
What do you think? Because there's talk.
I'm like a rematch.
But have you heard the rules? Right?
Like more or less boxing rules, but in a cage.
But so they're going to use boxing rules, but in a cage. So he can't choke him out, or he can't take him down. It's going to be basically boxing in barefoot with smaller gloves on.
If you could kick him and hold him.
Yeah.
The thing is, there is a thing, like I said, dirty boxing, which a champion called Randy Couture he was Captain America. In fact, you might see him. He's in all the Expendables films now. Yeah. He was a real.
He was an army man, like.
Yeah, ex-paratrooper.
As were you.
He was a wrestler, and he learned how to basically outbox and outstrike kickboxers and boxers using wrestling. And he's knocking out world-class strikers.
Yeah.
Because it's in a cage, and the timing's different.
Totally.
You're holding people different. If I'm tripping you up, and I'm allowed to trip you up a bit, and then I hit you.
Yeah.
That's what it's all about, and it's very difficult because I was a puncher and a kicker, and all of a sudden guys are trying to take me down.
Your legs away.
So every time I throw a punch, they're going to get me down. I might get one punch in, but then I'm on the floor.
So Floyd Mayweather, given his age and the fact that he's not really trained MMA before, would you think he's making the right decision moving over without allowing all the MMA moves in the fight?
Well, if it's going to be a boxing match in a cage, then no. I mean, it's Floyd all the way.
Yeah.
But I mean, to me, it's a circus, and I'm all right with a circus because that's entertaining.
Yeah.
But some people are Puritans. They don't like to see you often see the really big guy versus a dwarf. That sort of stuff. It happens in Japan all the time.
Yeah.
Is it easier for an MMA practitioner to move into traditional boxing because it would have been part of their training anyway than it is to go the other way?
Million percent.
But they always struggle because it's totally different. The distance control against a guy, a striking stand-up MMA guy doesn't move anything like a boxing guy.
Isn't it a lot of MMA striking is there to set up takedowns, whereas it's removed from the equation?
Million percent. Now listen, there's an interesting. I'm involved in the BKB, which is the Bare Knuckle Boxing Association.
Yep.
And what we found, we've got decent professional boxers coming in who've retired and they want to try the hand at this. They're not doing as well as the MMA fighters because it's very different. And you understand.
4-ounce gloves.
You can't punch as hard.
No.
Because the head is.
Yeah.
People are busting their hands. Yeah. And what you're seeing is MMA. The timing is very different. And it's about, you understand why he used to box like this because they want to damage his knuckles. So very interesting. So what I'm saying is the MMA guys are beating the boxers.
Yeah.
Time and time again. And I've seen this now. It's starting to get its act together. The BKB.
Yes, I'm meant to be going to a show. I think there's one.
June.
Yeah.
In the O2. Yeah. I'm refereeing. So what I'm seeing is it's remarkable that something about the MMA guys why are they beating these boxers? Because they haven't got the protection of the glove.
No, and they're used to that.
Alex, you talk about all these things with such passion. You obviously still keep your hand in. You talked about the refereeing job that you're going to be doing shortly. Do you miss competing?
Well, I go to lots of shows, and sometimes I get bored because. Even the big shows, I've been to car parks, to fields, naughty fights, to the MGM Grand Arena, and I've been involved. I've fought at every single level. Yeah, I don't miss car parks. I mean, to me, I'm an athlete. I'm an entertainer. I'm not doing it to be the toughest man on the planet. I generally am a martial artist.
So you don't miss fighting, you miss entertaining.
Yeah. So and now I'm an actor. Well, I've always been an actor. In fact, weirdly, even though I've had over 300 fights, I don't even consider myself a fighter. So when you ask me who I am, I'm an actor, I'm an entertainer. I was always the little kid, weirdly, who would ask the questions at school and got told off or laughed at, and I made myself tough through martial arts to stop the bullies, but I was becoming like a superhero. I was pretending I was Bruce Lee, Jean-Claude Van Damme, Rocky, in my head to beat these bullies. And I've faced all these dangerous situations, mixing with the underworld and naughty people, because I wanted to prove I was tough. And now I know I'm tough. I don't need to do that so much anymore. So, yeah.
But you obviously still train a lot because you're still in great shape, even considering you've just had a new hip.
Yeah. Well, yeah, absolutely. I mean,
bionic man.
I am. I go through. I buzz as I go through airports. I have to actually generally get naked. Actually, look, no, honestly, it's the hip. It's there.
We'll close up there, guys.
Oh, bad boy.
This is one for the ladies and, well, maybe men of a certain persuasion as well. We don't discriminate here.
They're looking. Where is it? What was I saying? I went off on a tangent.
You were just getting naked, I think.
Getting naked.
Everything was thrown out.
I love still keep fit, still train at the gym. Obviously.
Do you know what? I'm having this hip done, and I've got my crutch still, and I'm starting to get better.
That's a literal crutch.
I would actually. You always say to fighters they should know when to give up. To me, I always want that one more.
Yeah.
And still, to this day, I feel.
Chris has got a bit of, amateur experience.
I retired from darts 8 years ago, and I still sort of get to this time of year where because we have like a qualifying school you have to go through, and I still play, I still do exhibitions and that, but I still, there's always that one little nagging thing in your mind. Oh, should I have one more go? And that must be.
I was thinking more you guys could have maybe some sort of boxing thing. We could be the first Seconds Out PPV.
No, he's got darts.
The day after.
That's not a bad idea.
When he does that as the other hip jump.
Darts boxing. We've had dirty boxing. Now we have darty boxing.
Darty boxing, yeah.
There's shoot boxing.
You heard it here first.
There's kickboxing. There's badass boxing. Let's make sexy boxing.
Yeah.
Sexy boxing.
Sexy boxing.
Bringing sexy back.
You heard it here first.